Hey everybody, welcome to part 6 of our Clone Wars rewrite. We are currently rewriting the character of Ahsoka Tano, and in this video we'll be touching briefly on Ahsoka's appearance in Season 1, Episode 11, Dooku Captured, but our main focus is Episode 13, Jedi Crash, where we'll be having Ahsoka learn more about leadership, attachments, and making hard decisions. Thanks for joining us!
The winding path to peace is always a worthy one, regardless of how many turns it takes.
We said we would touch briefly on where Ahsoka turns up here. So just to kind of recap this episode, they're chasing after Count Dooku, Anakin and Obi-Wan that is. And then Obi-Wan and Anakin get trapped in a cave, Dooku gets picked up and then betrayed by the pirates. And then Ahsoka shows up to help get Obi-Wan and Anakin. But nobody knows why she shows up. Like, why is it her?
Why is it ever Ahsoka? Like, seriously, why?
Looks like I got here just in time.
Her body language is all wrong. Because she's got her arms crossed again. That seems to be like her go-to pose. Standing there with her arms crossed.
It's a very closed and, it can sometimes be used as an arrogance. But yeah, it's like, okay, when you were posing her for these scenes, why are you closing her off? Why are you making her stick her nose in the air with just her body language? It doesn't make sense if the character you're trying to portray is one who is likable, one who is open and learning, one who is growing. This is not what is being portrayed. Again, people go on and oh, she has such a beautiful character arc. She grows and learns. She's so amazing. It's like, no, watch the show again. This is not reality. So yeah, she's there for like a single minute. Like she shows up at around the 13-minute mark and she's gone at like 14 and a half minutes. So 1.5 minutes. And the entire thing is just a train wreck. Is that an explosion? Or is that supposed to be Ahsoka force pushing the rocks out of the way?
That definitely seems like an explosion, which would be incredibly careless.
Yeah.
If she ordered the clones to blow the entrance open, she could have very easily killed them.
Well, I think either way, just blasting it in doesn't make sense. Whether she uses the Force or whether they use an explosive, that doesn't make sense. But to take the time to like carefully pull out the entrance, if they did it that way, Anakin and Obi-Wan would be dead. But it's like, how does she even know where they are? How does she know that they're right in the entrance there? What if they had gone much further into the caves? I know they have those transmitter things, but I never really got the impression that those transmitter things were homing beacons. And even if they were, like, why doesn't she contact them on their transmitters first before blowing the entrance in? It just seems weird, but this isn't necessarily a problem with Ahsoka's character so much as like just the setup of this scene.
Looks like I got here just in time.
Remember in the last episode where we commented on Ahsoka's scene in the interrogation room, where she's got her arms crossed and she's tapping her finger on her arm impatiently? She's doing the exact same thing here. What is up with that? It's so out of place.
You are in very big trouble.
Her body language is being condescending. And we this is how we put it in the argument against Ahsoka, is that throughout this 1.5 minutes, they completely reverse the roles. Ahsoka is the superior, and Anakin and Obi-Wan are acting like nervous little Padawans trying to cover up their mistakes and make excuses, while Ahsoka scolds them, talks down to them, and it's just complete role reversal. And it's one of those things, it's like, if they were going for comedy, I'm not laughing.
Yeah, no kidding.
see how this is amusing because, as we've said 100 times before, of the established relationship of disrespect from Ahsoka toward her superiors. If there was an established relationship of respect, this could come off as banter. But because that's not the relationship they have, this is just more disrespect.
So I wouldn't change her wording in looks like I got here just in time. I would just change her body language, have her arms down, so her body language is open, she's relieved that she got there just in time. But the next line where she's like, you were in very big trouble. Yeah, I'd take that out entirely.
We have the situation well under control, my little Padawan.
Oh, I see. So, which part of the situation did you have under control? The blocked entrance, the poison gas, or that Gundark behind you?
Gundark?
She doesn't look playful at all when she's saying that. She looks angry.
No. Again, it's this thing where, Anakin and Obi-Wan aren't admitting their mistake because of pride, right? But that doesn't excuse her behavior. She has no right, no authority, no place to be trying to take them down a notch. She is a student. She is supposed to remain respectful. And again, that's not to say that, students or Padawans or whatever have you have to just shut up and smile. It's more so how you do things. Because I have always felt that the way people expect to be treated when they tell the truth affects whether or not they tell the truth. So if someone feels that if they tell the truth, you're going to put them down, you're going to berate them, you're going to be angry, if they're expecting a negative response, they will quite often try to cover up or lie, brush it off, etc., etc., etc. But if they know that they are safe in being honest and open, then that's much more likely to be what they're going to do, right? So again, I'm not necessarily blaming Ahsoka for their behavior, but there's something to be said for the fact that they feel like they have to put on a front in order to get respect from her. And of course, she sees it as a front, and then she disrespects them. So either way, it's a lose-lose situation for them.
Anyway, I would have Ahsoka say her line, looks like I got here just in time, and then I'd have Anakin respond, oh, what are you talking about? We had it under control. And then Ahsoka kind of leans around them and she's like, yeah, I can see that. And then they turn around and they see the Gundar coming, and then Anakin is the one to say, blow it up or cave it in or whatever the line is.
Either that, or you could have Obi-Wan, because he's the senior officer there, if you will. You could give him some of Ahsoka's line to create some of the banter that happens here between Anakin and Obi-Wan. So Ahsoka's like, oh, it looks like I got here just in time. And then Anakin's like, what? Oh, we had things under control. And then Obi-Wan's the one who says, what part of that did we have under control? The blocked entrance, the poison gas. And then, yeah, you could have Ahsoka kind of lean around and be like, and that Gundark behind you? And then Obi-Wan has his line, the one that's, too far away to worry about, right? I would say it's an established part of Anakin's character that he would kind of try to put on a front. And then to have Obi-Wan be the one who's being honest about the situation.
There's still Dooku to deal with.
You let him get away?
Not get away, exactly. Just chime in anytime.
No, I would just take that out.
Oh no.
Because,
I'm enjoying
yeah,
this talk too
she's
much.
talking like she's their superior. You let him get away? How could you? Like, no, that's not your
and
line.
And then again, you have this moment where Obi-Wan's suddenly backing up Ahsoka's disrespectful behavior toward Anakin.
And it's really just trashing Obi-Wan's character.
Yeah. And throwing Anakin under the bus again, which we pointed out in the argument against Ahsoka that the writers do quite often. They throw Anakin under the bus to make Ahsoka look better or like a victim or whatever have you. basically to garner sympathy or praise for Ahsoka.
Yeah, it's awful. She's like a black hole. She sucks everything good out of everything.
Yeah, because the rest of this episode I really enjoy. But yeah, smack dab in the middle, you have this 1.5 minutes where everything is just awful.
Oh no, I'm enjoying this far too much.
Unfortunately, I am not.
But that's the only point where she shows up in that episode. Episode 13.
Greed and fear of loss are the roots that lead to the tree of evil.
Here, I'll read what we wrote in the argument against Ahsoka. Ahsoka disobeys a direct order from Master Alea Sakura because she wants to help Anakin, when in reality she can't help Anakin, but could be of use flying the ship.
Don't mean to be overly picky here, but you keep saying Alea Sakura.
Oh, Ayla.
Ayla Sakura, yes.
Ayla Sakura.
Do you actually have it written as Alea, or do you have it...
No, it's written as Ayla Sakura.
Oh, okay.
My brain doesn't read words.
Oh. Anyway, continue.
Ahsoka argues with Sakura about temporarily shutting off the life support when to leave it on means they'll crash into a star and they'll all die.
Fear of loss is Anakin's thing, not Ahsoka. The way they have Ahsoka written in the show, she doesn't give a crap about anyone but herself.
Well, she supposedly does. It's all lip service. It's never shown.
Yeah.
Well, not really. It was in Shadow of Malevolence, the little quip at the beginning. Easy is the path to wisdom for those not blinded by ego. And again, it's aimed at Anakin, and Anakin learns that over the course of the episode. But the whole time, Ahsoka is showing her massive ego, and she's not learning diddly squat about it. So there's so many times, because I think Anakin, of course, is supposed to be the main character, and so the quips are aimed at him in the episodes that he's in, but they apply to Ahsoka half the time, but she's not learning that lesson. It's Anakin who is learning it, and Ahsoka just stays herself, her crummy self.
Baby, it's so bad.
Those droids are boarding Ayla's ship!
Is it just me, or does Anakin look more concerned than Ahsoka?
It's not just you. This is one of the hard parts, is because I know that, especially when it comes to like animation movies, stuff like that, but specifically animation because you have to do so much work. Quite often, the creators know that the audience is going to be looking at the person who's talking. And so to then go through all the trouble of animating all the background characters that are there for a split second and are not being paid attention to, they're just like, we don't have to do that. So they'll maybe make them move a little bit, but they really won't put much thought into them. And so then you get people like us who are like analyzing a specific character's behavior, and because she's in the background, they didn't put much work into her, and so now she looks blasé while Anakin is treating this like a war zone. And so it's hard for me to say, because it's like, well, okay, yeah, maybe they were like, oh, we'll have Ahsoka look like this, and maybe they were just like, whatever, just put her in there and turn her head and we're good. No one's gonna care. So I don't.
Wrong. We care. So yeah, just make Ahsoka look more concerned to fit the situation.
And see, that's the other thing. It's easy for the clone troopers. You can't see their faces. But everyone else can. And so it's like, okay, do we have to animate their face all the time?
I'll be on board Ayla's cruiser.
Master, are you sure that's the wisest thing?
And again, she's questioning him. And again, it's so two-faced because she's always the one who's like gung-ho and jumping off of ships in front of everyone else. And when Anakin does the same thing, she's like, oh no, you shouldn't do that. You should be smarter. Like me. Because I'm the ultimate standard. I'm just so great. You should listen to me.
For me, it's more of the fact that it's like she's constantly casting doubt toward him. That's the way I kind of read it, which is why it bothers me, is that she does not respect Anakin's abilities to handle himself, to make a plan and go along with it. Yeah, she just, at every turn, she's questioning him, doubting him, and just rubbing me the wrong way. She doesn't trust him. And so when she makes that comment in season 3, oh, I trust him with my life. Like, really? Because I don't see it. I don't see your trust in him at all. So this is definitely something we would change, because we established that in the Goldie arc that Ahsoka would learn to trust Anakin more. And so would we have her say anything?
I would just have her say something along the lines of, hey, be careful.
Back him up, show support rather than doubt. And then he flies.
Oh, he rides the droid!
Yes, I love when he rides the droid. And I want to point out something here. You can see that Anakin's emotions, he's angry. Even the music kind of suggests that like he's not in a zen mode right now. And I feel again like when he is in that kind of mental state, the show is kind of like, okay, this isn't a good thing. They used Ahsoka there to kind of point out that his behavior is, he's being rash and he's, you know, acting out of anger and such like that. And it's a bad thing. The show is tonally suggesting this is not good behavior. And that's the proper way to frame it, because it is not good behavior, not for a Jedi and not for other people either. You shouldn't act out of anger or, like, you know, make rash judgments based on anger. But when Ahsoka acts the same way, the show suggests that she's badass, that she's doing the right thing. Cloak of Darkness, which we literally just covered, shows this exactly. She's pissed off at Ventress. She's listing 100 different insults whenever she's even thinking about the woman. She doesn't even think of her as a person. She's just a lowlife to Ahsoka. But the show suggests that this is good behavior on Ahsoka's part. And it's like, no, it's not. Ahsoka and Anakin are so similar, but the show supports Ahsoka and throws Anakin under the bus for the exact same behavior.
I know, I'm hanging on.
Oh, he's just trying to help! Seriously? And you have to snap back at him with, I know! Ugh, don't tell me!
There are multiple times throughout the show when someone tries to say something helpful to Ahsoka and she responds with an annoyed, I know! And this is the first example of that. He's trying to be helpful and she snaps back at him like he's mistreating her. And that's not what's going on.
I would have him finish saying his line, have him say, hang on, and she doesn't say anything. She follows orders. She hangs on.
Sometimes it's just better to just show that she's tightens her grip a little more or adjusts her hands so that she can grip better.
It's too late!
Anakin sacrificing himself.
That was actually a moment of genuine concern from Ahsoka, so I'd say props to that.
Yeah, but then I also just want to, props to Anakin here, because you also see he senses it coming. He assesses the situation quickly enough to determine they're not going to make it in time. And so, yeah, he force pushes everyone to safety and stays back so that he can hold back the explosion as best he can.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's just an awesome moment from a Jedi Master looking out for his friends and his Padawan, and it's so in character for Anakin. Though how he survives that, I don't know.
I need you with Commander Bly up on the bridge right now.
I should stay. Commander Bly doesn't need my help. Anakin does.
You can help Anakin by getting this ship to safety.
I really do appreciate how they have Ahsoka behaving toward Anakin in this moment where he's injured and weak. They are getting it spot on, showing that she is genuinely concerned. But yeah, that line where she's like, Anakin needs my help. Well, you're just standing there. You can't help him. I would rather have her say just, hey, I want to stay.
Yeah, because it's not necessarily her wanting to stay that is the problem. It's her reasoning and the way that she just flatly refuses, and Sakura allows it.
We're headed right for a star.
So Ahsoka only leaves when the other guy comes in and says we're headed straight for a star. So it's kind of weird because one second Ahsoka's like, no, he's fine without me. I need to help Anakin. And then the guy comes in and says, oh, we're headed straight for a star. And she's like, oh, okay, I guess I can leave Anakin. Sakura didn't say anything more. So it's not like she's listening to Sakura. Again, having her show this concern for Anakin is a good thing. It's a good character moment. But it's just weirdly set up. And the reason they give just doesn't make sense. So I agree with you that maybe it would just be better for her to say, you know, I want to stay here with Anakin. And then I'd have Ayla start to say something to kind of be like, no. Like, I'd have her be like, I appreciate that you want to do that. And I can see you know, you're concerned for your master. But, and then, like, somewhere in the middle of her saying that, then the guy comes in and says, hey, we're headed straight for a star. And then Sakura looks at Ahsoka like, yeah, you gotta come. And then Ahsoka comes. And yeah, you can have her have that last little look back at Anakin before she walks out the door.
Shut down all power circuits to reset the coordinates.
That will cut off Anakin's life support.
I don't like it any more than you do, but it's a risk we're going to have to take.
That look she has afterward, so disrespectful. And Ayla is 100% right.
They're about to crash into a star, so either Anakin dies because you temporarily shut off the life support, or you all die, including Anakin, in a fiery blaze of horribleness. And that's the look that she gives Ayla.
Wow.
I'm sorry. It doesn't make sense.
Would we still have her kind of be like, hey, but the life support, or would we take that out? Because I don't really have much of a problem with her saying that that'll cut off the life support, because it's showing that she's still aware
Thinking
of
about
Anakin's condition. She's still thinking about him. So I would keep that, but just take away the stupid look.
If you change the tone slightly so that it's more like she knows she's going to have to do it, but she's voicing her concern anyway. It's kind of like, is there any other way, right? Maybe even just have her say that, but but that would cut off the life support. Is there any other way? And then Ayla says no. And then Ahsoka's expression turns resigned or resolute.
Switch the power back on! What are you waiting for?
I appreciate that they gave those lines to the clone rather than to Ahsoka.
Yeah, I was gonna say that.
It would have ticked me off if it came from Ahsoka.
Yeah.
So I appreciate that they A, gave those lines to the clone, and B, had Ayla think to use the Force. Yay!
Well, we're not gonna crash into the star, but we're definitely gonna hit that planet.
Change her tone so that she actually sounds concerned.
Yeah, she
Why
goes
do they
from
always revert to this happy-go-lucky tone with her?
Well, it's I don't even know if happy-go-lucky is the right word for it, but definitely this blasé kind of attitude. Oh, we're going to crash. I'm sure everything will be fine, so I needn't show any concern. It's like, wow, your character is self-aware of her plot armor. Way to go, guys.
Just something I wanted to point out. This is the first time Ahsoka is co-piloting or piloting in any way, shape, or form. And she crashes. And so I just want to point out the stupidity of her line later. when she says to Anakin, "How come every time you fly we crash?"
Yeah, it's stupid. It's a stupid line later. So yeah, just change her tone, because like I don't mind the wording of the line so much. It's just the blasé tone. I know I have plot armor and we're all going to be fine. Or at least I know I'm going to be fine. Please change that. She's frightened. They're going to crash. They could all still die. And even if they don't, I'm sure a crashed ship is not going to have support. 1 second, she's all concerned for Anakin. The very next second, it's like, oh well, whatever. Flip-flop. Can't have 20 seconds of consistency.
And Master Skywalker is still alive.
I'm just glad he wasn't awake to see that landing.
You would have been proud.
I've certainly perfected the art of demolishing ships and almost getting my master killed.
What is
I love the moments of self-doubt for Ahsoka because they are so freaking rare. I think this is the only time where she actually shows doubt in herself. But that line doesn't entirely make sense because, like, never before this moment in the show have we been shown Ahsoka crashing ships because, like I said, this is the first time we've seen her flying. And, I mean, like, she endangers people out of her stupidity, but since we fixed that so far, I don't know.
Well, I don't even know if this is a moment of self-doubt because, again, her tone, it's self-depreciating, but is that really a genuine moment of self-doubt? I wouldn't call it that.
I've certainly perfected the art of demolishing ships and almost getting my master killed.
Yeah, no, you're right. It's not the right tone.
Again, Sakura reassures her after the first line, where I would say she sounds more genuinely kind of like, wow, I screwed up. And then Sakura reassures her, and then she has that self-depreciating quip, and Sakura doesn't say anything. So it kind of, again, Sakura doesn't feel the need to reassure her or encourage her because it's not, oh man, I'm such a screw up. It's, oh yeah, I screwed up, whatever.
What if we took away the line and had Ahsoka's facial expression kind of show that doubt is still there? She doesn't entirely take Sakura at her word.
Like it kind of comes down to like that you can communicate so much with facial expression and body language, and so it comes down to how nuanced, if you will, do you want to be, and that's where it comes down partly to a question of what demographic are you targeting? Because when it comes to a kids show, I mean, you don't have to spell everything out, but more often, especially for younger audiences, they're not going to catch it unless it's at least hinted at in some way. You don't have to have her saying, oh, I still doubt myself, right? Because that's just spelling it out and it's stupid and it's unnatural dialogue. But if you had her say something like, you know, if you say so, to back up her expression of, you know, I am still in doubt of myself.
You and Bly go south. Rex and I will stay here with Anakin.
Okay, no! No! Give that line to Sakura!
No, that doesn't make sense because Sakura's literally about to say, no, we have to stick together.
Well, then give Sakura whatever line she has here, and then have Ahsoka be like, but no!
To get help quickly, we must work together.
I can't leave him! Master, I know if I was hurt, he'd never leave me behind.
I know this is hard, Ahsoka. But Anakin has to stay behind, and we have to go now. There's nothing more we can do for him. We must do all we can to get off this planet. As a Jedi, it is your duty to do what is best for the group.
I would have Ahsoka's response be less shrieky.
And less disrespectful, yes. I have no problem with her suggesting that she stays behind with Anakin. I wouldn't have her say it in this authoritative, okay, I'm handing out orders right now kind of way. Because that's the way it comes off. It's like, excuse me, no, that's not your place. So if she just made a request to stay with Anakin, or her tone was kind of like, please, can we do things this way? Or whatever. And again, you don't have to have her be some simpering, submissive Padawan, right? Like, that's not who she is, and we don't want to turn her into that. But, there's 100 different ways you could have it done, and none of which would make her subservient, but would still resolve the problem of her acting superior. I would almost leave Sakura's lines the same. Like, have Sakura be like, no, this is the way we gotta do things. And we talked about this in our reaction video about how Sakura is actually teaching Ahsoka. And it's like, why didn't they give Ahsoka someone like Sakura as a master?
It seems to me that the people we're looking for live near giant trees.
Very perceptive, Padawan.
Wow, you're a regular Sherlock Holmes there, kid!
We have touched a few times now that, like, there's evidence in the show surrounding a lot of Ahsoka's lines that kind of prove that it's not just in our heads, that the other characters are reacting in a way that proves that the way we're hearing her tone is not just what we want to hear. It's what is being presented, but people just don't remember those things. They don't focus on them, or they twist them so that, oh no, that was fine because Ahsoka's the best.
Just a little bit longer. Rex will watch over you.
That's a good moment.
Yeah.
I do like her saying goodbye that way.
Keep your
I can kind of understand that they couldn't just run and run and run and run, but the fact that they like show them running off and then they jump forward in time, and it doesn't seem like that much time has changed because the sky is like exactly the same, and now they're just like casually walking, and it's like, okay, whatever happened to the urgency?
I went through the same process when I was your age with my own master.
Really? You?
On the one hand, I'm sure that it's supposed to be a compliment towards Sakura, kind of showing, wow, like, you're just so in control of your emotions and yourself that, like, I can't picture you as being someone like me. But at the same time, it kind of comes off as an insult, like, wow, you have feelings?
Yeah, I would just take away the you and leave it at, really?
Don't lose 1,000 lives just to save one.
Maybe, but that doesn't mean that I can't try to save his life.
I don't like how she's so, I'm certain of this. You're wrong and I'm right. I have the last word. Like, have her be more, not so certain in what she's saying. Have her say something more along the lines of, well, that doesn't mean I can't try to save him, right?
I think that's a good way to fix it. I just also want to point out that Sakura says you don't sacrifice 1,000 lives to save one, and Ahsoka's response is maybe.
Yeah, that's not a maybe, honey. That is a certainty.
The same thing kind of happens in the Geonosian arc when she's with Barriss, and Barriss makes that comment about how, hey, even though we're losing our lives, it's worth it because, we're saving so many people. And Ahsoka noticeably does not agree with her. And it's the exact same kind of thing that's going on right here. That it's like, Ahsoka's basically saying, yeah, if 1,000 lives are lost, but I get what I want, then it's okay.
No, it's not.
No, it's not. So completely scratch the maybe there. And I think I would put in your line, like you said, where she kind of questions, like, but I can still try to save him, right? Or even just have her say, but I can still try to save him, right? Because it's not always a question of 1,000 versus 1. Sometimes you can have 1,000 plus 1. Obviously, your goal is always to save as many lives as possible. It's not always a question of either or. Sometimes you just have to approach it from a different angle so that it can be both and. I'm just so ticked off at her. So Maybe. No!
But that doesn't mean that I can't try to save his life.
Yeah, it's also this kind of like disrespectful, under her breath kind of response. Like, I'm still gonna try and do what, I want to do. I'm not paying attention to you. I'm not learning from you. I am... Oh.
No wonder it's deserted. It's a death trap. You'd have to be crazy to want to dodge those on a daily basis.
She's showing concern. This is incredible because when they're going to crash into a planet and potentially die, it's like, oh, well, here we go. But when there's stuff falling out of a tree over top of them, it's, oh my goodness, you'd have to be insane to want to live here.
She's really got her priorities straight.
Again, it's not that her response here is like terrible. I would just prefer that it be a consistent response for her. Like, I feel it's a little on the shrieky side, but if it was like, this is how she reacts when she's frightened, and she's frightened when it's appropriate, I'd have no problem with this.
It looks like someone or something intelligent enough to figure out a use for the pods has dragged them away. All we have to do is follow the trail. Let's go.
I'm glad they give that moment to Sakura.
Hello?
Ahsoka's hello. I think it's because she asks it with a question mark. Like, if the village seemed empty and they couldn't see anyone around, but it appears that, there's signs of life, then her hello would kind of make sense because it's like, is anyone there kind of thing? But she's seeing a whole bunch of people right in front of her. It's not a bad character thing. It's just that wasn't the right tone. And this is where I think it comes down partly to the director, right? Because the director kind of has the idea in their head. And if your voice actor goes, hello? Then you're saying, no, it's not a question. She can see people in front of her. So I want more of like a hello, right? And then your voice actor's like, oh, okay, do another take. Hello! And there, fixed.
Jedi are no peacekeepers.
We're fighting for freedom.
I would have her tone be far less aggressive. Like, she's confused as to why he's like, hey, Jedi are no peacekeepers. She's like, so have her say, but we're fighting for peace. Like, we're fighting for freedom or whatever she says. So it's more of a question than a, but we're fighting for freedom, you ingrate.
Yeah, it should be more like, but we're fighting for freedom. Why do you believe we're not peacekeepers? And yeah, you don't have to have the whole question in there. You just have to have the tone of the question in there. Because there's nothing wrong with her questioning why people don't see the Jedi as what she sees the Jedi as. That's completely valid.
Please, can you at least give us some medical supplies? My friend is dying.
I am genuinely shocked at how many good moments from Ahsoka there are in this episode. Why could we not get more of this?
Well, I mean, the fact that we only had 2 points in the arguments against Ahsoka, and I think even in our reaction video, we kind of say that these 2 episodes with her, they're some of her better episodes. It's not like every single word that comes out of her mouth is terrible. It's just that the majority of the time, she's a bad character. And then when you get episodes like this, it's just further making her badly written and, badly portrayed and inconsistent. And so overall, these episodes do nothing to save her character because they're just helping point out how bad her character is. And that's a real pity because you're right. It's like, we could have had more of this kind of Ahsoka, but no, they chose to give us more of the Ahsoka we saw in Cloak of Darkness. Because they're like, oh yeah, this is the Ahsoka that we like. The only thing I don't get is why does she refer to Anakin as her friend? These people obviously have some understanding of the Jedi and the Jedi Order. So why wouldn't she just say, my master?
Yeah, I'd have her say my master.
But yeah, no, that moment of her asking for, at least medical supplies, it's a good moment because she's she's thinking of a way around the problem, right? Like, okay, you don't want to help us, that's fine, but like, at least give us some supply.
But only one Jedi may go with him. The other must stay as insurance. The clone and his blaster cannot stay. He will go with the youngling.
I can handle it. I don't need help.
No, it makes no sense.
It makes no sense. It makes no sense. The village elder just said why he wants the clone trooper to leave. Because he's armed and they don't want that in their village. So the clone's not going with her because they think she can't go by herself. Ugh! Why do they do this? They set up these like false juxtapositions and like, again, it's kind of like, are they trying to make Ahsoka look like people don't take her seriously? That she's some sort of like victim of
Well, that's definitely present in the show. They make out Ahsoka to be this like martyr. When she gets away with everything, she's a spoiled brat.
Yeah, and they set up these false moments of, oh, people don't believe in Ahsoka, but she can do it. That's not what's going on in this moment at all. I would just have him say, okay, the clone trooper goes with the Padawan, and then Sakura turns to Ahsoka and says, be mindful. Those creatures are still out there, and she's got it. We'll be back soon. That's it. That's all you need.
I would even get rid of the got it. I would just have her say, we'll be back soon.
No, don't!
Fine.
I would take out the fine and have her kind of be like, oh, I see what he's doing. And then she immediately joins in.
No, I'd agree with that. Because, yeah, it's again this, like, she's claiming to be a peacekeeper, and she doesn't understand why they don't see the Jedi as peacekeepers, and then her response to a threat is to become hostile. And this guy is teaching her, no, there's a peaceful solution. And her response is, fine, we'll do it your way.
It's like, oh, I don't get to kill something. Oh.
She's not learning in this moment. She's just acquiescing for the moment.
Good work, little guy. This is Wag 2. He's a healer. He can make you well again.
Okay, I think that's implied in healer. We don't need the extra, he can make you well again. Well, duh, he's a healer.
I almost feel like she's being a little condescending toward Wag 2, right? Like, he saves them, and then she's just like, good job, little guy. And then she's talking toward him, and she's like, this is Wag 2. He's a healer. And it's like, it almost comes off as like people who think when someone's not very good at English and people start speaking slower and louder as if they're deaf rather than they just have trouble with the English language. And it kind of comes off as condescending. That's kind of what I'm getting from her tone. And the weird thing is that she wasn't talking like that back in the village. Like when she asked for the supplies, she wasn't like, could you at least give us supplies? She was just talking normally. And now all of a sudden she's got this like weird cadence to her speech. Like she thinks Wag 2 doesn't understand them, or that Anakin is not going to understand.
I got the impression it was more toward Anakin.
Yeah,
I mean, it kind of would make sense because he's been in an explosion that does absolute horrors to your ears, so...
True. But like, in the approach with stuff that should have lasting damage doesn't. So you can, have your legs directly over top of a bomb and they don't get blown off, and you can be in an explosion and have no damage to your eardrums, and right? So for them to suddenly have the characters act like, oh no, maybe he can't hear me because he was in an explosion, it just comes off as weird. I just don't like her sudden change of cadence and tone, and I don't like the way she's kind of like, good job, little guy. Maybe instead of like saying good job, say thank you, and don't call him little guy because you know his name.
You were right all along, Master Sakura.
About what?
If I'd stayed with Anakin, we probably wouldn't have found this village in time to save him. At least this whole ordeal is over now.
We still have to find a way off this planet.
I'm sure Admiral Yularen and the Republic fleet are looking for us. It shouldn't take them too long to get here.
I would change her tone for the, at least this ordeal is over.
The idea that Ahsoka being with them somehow sped the group up doesn't make sense to me.
she's crediting herself. I wouldn't have her say, we wouldn't have found the village in time. I would have her say, we might not have found the village in time.
Sakura's point was about working together, not about needing Ahsoka to come. And Ahsoka is, kind of crediting herself with like, well, if I hadn't come, then you guys probably wouldn't have been able to do this without me. But if you think about it, she didn't really contribute anything. She looked at a picture of some people by a tree and she deduced, ooh, they must be near the trees. So they went to the trees, she had a panic attack, while Sakura was the one who was like, oh hey, look, there's a trail. People must be taking these pods and using them for something. So let's go that way. And that's how they found the village. And if Ahsoka hadn't been there, I mean, they have Ahsoka be the one to plead for help, and that's what gets the leader to send the healer. But to suggest that Sakura wouldn't have thought of that is kind of insulting. What Ahsoka's saying here is slightly self-serving, and it's masked as a, you were right, master. I'm learning from you.
More manipulative writing.
Yay! And then you're right, her following up with like, well, we're still stuck on this planet, but this ordeal is over. No, it's not. Yeah, Anakin has been helped, but you're still...
I would just have her say that. At least Anakin got the help he needed.
Yeah. And then you could still have Sakura follow that up with, we still need to find a way to get off this planet. And then, again, Ahsoka comes back with this, oh, I'm sure, those people are looking for us and they'll find us soon. And it's like, okay, is she being optimistic? Or is she like, I don't know what's going on here. I'm not an optimist. So is this optimism or is this something else? Maybe because this is part of the reason why I hate optimists. Because they're so annoying. But like,
I would just take it as optimism.
Is Ahsoka an optimistic character? I don't know if I get that from her in other situations, especially because of the way she constantly doubts Anakin and acts like whatever he's going to do is the worst idea possible. So I don't get the vibe from her that she's an optimistic person, and then all of a sudden she's sunshine and roses, cheery, and it's kind of this like, the person I care about is in the safe zone, so everything's wonderful.
Maybe like change her wording, I guess. So instead of her saying, oh, I'm sure they'll be here soon, have her say, let's hope they get here soon.
Pay attention to your characters. Have an established idea in your mind of what your characters are like, how they view the world, and whether they're an optimist, a pessimist, a realist, a whateverist, and try to write them consistently in regards. That's just one of the aspects that you have to pay attention to keep your character consistent.
Absolutely. It's like something that helped me in writing my character for my Clone Wars fanfiction, which you can find linked in the description, is I wrote a character outline for her so I could always check back just in case I was afraid I wasn't keeping her consistent.
Yeah, and it's like so many people write biographies for their characters to, keep in mind what their backstory is, how they've approached things in the past, how they approach things in the present, and it's really important for character consistency to have a rounded, solid view of your characters so that you don't get odd moments like this one.
So that was Season 1, Episode 13, Jedi Crash, where Ahsoka learned more about leadership, attachments, and making hard decisions. Thank you for joining us, and if you enjoyed, be sure to drop a like, leave a comment down below, subscribe to the channel to stay tuned for future content, share this video with a friend, and if you're looking for more ways to show your support, consider becoming a patron. Next up, we'll be doing Season 1, Episode 7, Defenders of Peace, so be sure to join us for that. Leave some of that in the comments.
Just go down there and hit the keyboard a bunch and we'll decipher it, maybe.